I want to make a hard statement here that might fly in the face of some people that are listening or finding yourself in this situation or had been in this situation. You need to recognize and realize that your divorcing spouse or partner is, all caps, right? I gotta say, still the kid's parent. And that needs to be honored and respected. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Through a Therapist's Eyes, where we give you direct insights from a panel of therapists. Victoria, I'm going to cue you up for the disclaimer on that one so that I don't forget and get that out early. Hit it, man.
We do not provide any therapeutic services whatsoever.
This is not a delivery of therapy services. If you're wondering why I did that, I've been forgetting that clause for.
I'm so proud of you for remembering this.
I don't know why, but this is a follow-up. This is not episode 216, though it has the same title, because in the show last week, we had these questions and these thoughts, and we started talking, and very quickly it began to realize for us that we were just not going to cover all the things that we needed to cover, with this particular topic. And we were talking off the mics a little bit ago, and Neil's like, why have we never covered this topic yet? Like, it's unbelievable. I don't know, but we are going deep dive on everything all to do about step parenting. So we're going to be covering some more boundary questions, and we're really going to have a little bit more of a celebration today for step parents, because boy, it's a tough job, and I think a lot of times goes way underappreciated with all of the roles and the different things that you deal with. So what is a step parent's role? We talked about last week, so tune into that prior show for that. But what are the life adjustments to be made by the step parent, and the life adjustments needed to be made by the child? Those are questions I want you to ponder. In addition to the third one, how do we accept, a step parent being present really on the extended family's behalf, particularly the divorced parent, who's still probably very involved in this child's life? These are things that we don't tend to think about when we think about the world of blended family and step parenting. So this is, what is today? February the 9th, 2023. We have the book still out, Re-Understanding Emotions and Becoming Your Best Self. Definitely subscribe. Cue you, Neil, for the YouTube version of the live podcast. How shall you expertly introduce this, my friend?
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on the shows. And if you are not subscribed, please do that now, because we are switching Facebook Live to YouTube Live in episode 220. So if you're watching this on Facebook or anywhere else, go ahead and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you'll get notified when we go live at episode 220.
That was really well done, I got to say. Listen, he
didn't have a script either.
He didn't have a script.
Unlike me.
It is a big help, guys, for the 5-star reviews on Apple iTunes. Subscribing even if you don't listen to every show. Telling your friends, hitting share buttons on the social media platforms. You're a big part of helping us, and I'm asking you to help us to grow the show. I'm also asking you to, if you're interested, have checked out the book, to engage in a review. In the author business, that makes a really, really big difference. And as I'm building up to the second book, not publicly announced yet, only to you, the Through a Therapist's Eyes followers, on marriage is going to be coming up, and that helps out a lot for that kind of really as well. Contact at throughatherapist'seyes.com. Listen, this is the human emotional experience which we endeavor to figure out together. All right, so John, we missed you last week, man.
And I missed you.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling a lot better.
Glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be 6 feet above the ground.
Man, I tell you, it knocked you down a few pegs, didn't it?
It sure did.
The flu.
The flu.
Yeah.
I'll never complain about the flu again, or a cold, or any. It was awful. So.
It's tough, man. And I'm sorry. I didn't even know you were out. My head was just buried with work. It was like 4 or 5 days you came in, and he's like, did you know I had the flu? I'm like, nobody told me. I've been wondering where you are. It's funny how we just get busy, huh?
DW probably wanted to stay away.
Yeah, stay away from the whole topic.
Yeah,
I'm sure. And Miss Victoria Pendergrass is over there with us. Pendergrass, did I say it wrong?
Yes.
I know how to spell it.
I know. it's a Pendergrass.
How you doing this week?
I'm good. I'm here. Been busy. Yesterday, all my people showed up.
Yeah.
All 9 of them.
That's a lot.
Oh. But I was telling you,
It's
I was
good,
like, I love it when everybody's. It's just a great feeling you have when. And today, I mean, I had 6 or 7 show up out of 8. So
Yeah, a couple of tough sessions there with no shows or something.
yeah, but I mean, all of them are pretty much getting rescheduled. So
I think it's funny to see that through your eyes, being newer and younger in the field, and kind of what some of the day to day is like. I'm sure the audience is kind of curious, really listening. Like, what is it like? Again, our title, Through a Therapist's Eyes. It's so fun for me to see this through your experience.
Well, I mean, I've definitely changed like how I do my day to day. Like, we have notes and stuff, and I mean, we can do a whole nother podcast on this, but like, I mean, I'm getting more like finding my footing. I've kind of found a balance where I make sure that I write my notes before I go pick up my next person.
Yeah, you get a flow, don't you?
And whatnot. And so like, I'm kind of getting in that flow of things and, little things like making sure I go to the bathroom before someone so I don't have to excuse myself.
You too. I have forgotten a couple of times.
Oh, it's not a good forget.
No.
You don't want to forget that.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think now at this point, I know I've heard other people in the past say as they go through, they kind of enjoy no shows because they get a chance to like catch up on work and stuff like that. And
it's a
things like
necessity
that.
in my world.
But
that doesn't mean you show me though.
Right.
Just so you
but
know.
honestly, at this stage of my career, like I really hate no shows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I really want my people to show up, and so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get back into really where we are. I really want to challenge us for this first segment to finish where we were, like the boundary adjustments that go on. There were just so many of them. We literally did a whole show, John, on boundary assessments. But let me kind of open it up to your view just with the topic, right? Like step parenting. It's a hell of a thing, isn't it?
Well, it's a daunting thing. I think it's, I'm going to say this. I thought it was pretty hard being a parent, and I'm still dealing with my middle-aged children. But I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, we still look to you, John.
But parents, step parenting is one of the most daunting and challenging callings that I think a person could have. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think it's something that can be so rewarding. But if you think in terms of what you're going to get out of it, and it's primarily about, well, I'm just going to get all these good things, I think sometimes you might be missing the point.
You get a little surprised, don't you?
The point is the family. The point are the children, and to put them in other words, that they know that they're loved and they're cherished. And I think sometimes children may not feel that way.
John, one of the things we talked about last week was the very real emotional reality that you don't have as a step parent in the relationship that's so specific with this child. Victoria's got a 10-month-old plus now, right?
Yeah.
He's still counting the weeks. I hope not. That's so nauseating to me. But just because I can't keep track of the weeks,
Yeah.
But like, the first year or 2 or 3 or even 4, you're like, oh, this kid, I'm watching him develop and have a relationship, and I'm holy cow, by the way, I am a parent. Well, when you're a step parent, it's all boom right now.
Exactly. And whether you're doing a courtship or something like that, you're in a relationship before you, let's say, develop, move in, or you're developing a marriage. That's relatively short time compared to the fact that if you've got no time at all.
Well, yeah, when you think about it, like, okay, I had, 9-10 months to prepare for being a parent.
Yeah.
Right? When I was pregnant. And so, same with my husband. He had that.
Big. fail on the host's part. I just tried to turn on the live so I can monitor it. I apologize for the listening audience for that.
That was weird hearing my voice as like an echo.
Echo.
But, just how I had time, my husband also had time to prepare to be a parent. So, yeah, like what Chris is saying is when you're a step parent, it's like, snap.
We're adoptive. Joy and I are adoptive parents, right. And we had a year to prepare for Katie coming into our home.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
At what age did you adopt?
She was newborn. She was actually she was 18 weeks.
Okay.
So
I did not know that.
But still, I mean, you had a year. You knew it was coming.
We had a year. We had to go through the court system in the Philippines, for example, and
right.
We had to.
Well, but that's part of the dating process. I mean, you're dating, of course, and courting.
Yeah,
and
but no, but when if the goal is and you eventually become a step parent, at some point you meet you don't wait 9 months to meet a kid usually. So I mean, so you're literally like,
okay. Yeah, the time is short. Okay.
Yeah, like you don't really have time. I mean, you have the time is just shorter from when you tell someone, oh, I have kids. Okay, well then they can kind of prepare for meeting them and stuff. But that time in between,
there's not a lot.
You telling them that you have kids and then meeting the kid and then
it's not 9 months.
Yeah, or a year or.
Well, sometimes in terms of step parents, they don't even get a chance to meet the kids until they're quite into their relationship with the partner or the spouse. It's sometimes months.
At least.
At least.
Because you don't want to introduce, the kids to somebody that you might not be dating in 6 months.
Well, and even then,
which is a good choice.
Yeah.
Even then, once you introduce them, if that person is just the boyfriend or the girlfriend, they're not necessarily being a parent to the kids until there is some sort of like unity, like marriage or moving in together,
right,
or something like that. Right.
It's true. Yeah. Okay, listen, I really want to challenge us because today we want to be more of a celebration a little bit more on what are the advantages to a blended family and some of the pitfalls to be careful about.
Extra grandparents.
Okay, you're jumping
ahead there,
but I really want to continue going through some of the adjustments, though, that we had not even had a chance to get to last time. I'm just telling us for our consciousness.
Okay.
Let's try to be a little bit brief, but I don't want to shirk these because I think these are really, I just brainstormed all these little questions that people really have. So the one we didn't get to talk about is how do we set the priorities in our family life? And I've dealt with this in a lot of ways in relationships of, God first, right? If religion's in your life, if not, that's fine. God's at the top of the list. If not, then self is, right? And then you have your spouse. So God, self, spouse, kids, family, friends, and then work. And these things move around every day to day, but that is old, tried and true, I think pretty solidly entrenched in acceptable priority levels.
And I would like to add that you said, what if you don't have God or something like that? You have to have a common set of values and ethics. And I think that might be something greater than yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, because if it's just self...
At the top of the list?
At the top of the list, you're going to be...
It's dangerous.
Dangerous, I think.
I love that. I will take that with me. That is a new nugget from the Pope.
Pace bonum.
Well done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But you think about the boundary sets and the priority lists. I tell you, that is a major issue. Boy, we're really going to try to have to be brief with these guys because we could go on and on with these things because they're so dynamic. Step parents, are they or are they not the priority for their new spouse, or are the prior kids to that relationship the priority?
So, like, what kind of order is it going to go in?
Tricky, right?
And I think I've encountered some of my clients that have that issue, and they're having that struggle.
Almost, I think this is an issue almost universally in blended families. I think I would make that bold statement.
I agree.
Of like questioning what order?
The primary biological parent prioritizes the kids above their new marriage or relationship. And how do we balance that reality? Because pretty tried and true, God, self, spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are underneath that. And that is a major challenge. And this isn't a gender thing. I think this is a thing for men just as much as women, by the way, so that you realize that.
So are you saying that things can't be equal? Like it can't be yourself, your kids, and the step parent on the same level?
Pretty tried and true. There's not any equality there. I mean, sometimes my friends are the most priority. Well, they're way down on the list because I really need to be there as dad just died. Okay, so this fluctuates, day to day. If you want to get into that goal setting and priority setting in life, but bottom line, God, self, spouse, kids, family, extended family, friends, and work in that order generally is a pretty safe priority list.
So then the step parent would be in the family category.
No.
So
the step parent is your spouse. They are third in priority above the kids, which freaks people out. Right?
And that's where my experience over all these years is where the crux of the matter is that that's sometimes not negotiable with.
Yeah, it isn't. The biological parent's like, yo, you got to understand, this is it. That's my kids. They are number one. Number one. So just be thoughtful about that. We need to move on because we have a lot to cover. Yeah. But that is a really big sticking issue. Step parents need to recognize that the spouse is a package deal, kind of goes along with, this priority set. You're not just marrying this person. You are marrying this person and very much their kids. That it is part of your now family. And that takes some reconciliation.
You know what I do for weddings? And it's a blended family.
Okay. That's interesting. As a pastor?
As a pastor, I include the children into the wedding itself in terms of taking vows. They take vows as well.
Yeah, I've seen that before. That's awesome.
I thought it was because I was really cool at it, but
do you include the kids in the wedding? Do you how are the kids taking part?
Well, that also gives them an idea of where they belong in the family.
Yeah, I'm a part of this.
And they are in the marriage.
They are in the marriage, family relationships. Yeah, it's a big. It blends in. Thus the name, blended family. All right, how are the finances managed? God, there's so many sticky issues. Yeah. Well, these are your kids. Why are my money going to your kids? Battle after battle. Child support. Do we get it? Do we pay it? How does this operate? I mean, this poor person who may not even have ever had kids before is now thrust into a brand new world of how expensive kids are.
So expensive.
So
expensive.
And that's a shock to your system. Even if you have your own kids, you're adding all of this to now your life. And if you're the primary breadwinner, even, like, how does that, right? You see the tricky balances that we get here. But let's move on. For some, this is an instant family, again, the head rush. Physical touch boundaries, and differences that you have in parenting tendencies, right? Corporal punishment. I've had this as an issue. Well, you just need to spank your kids. Why ain't we doing that? Says the new parent, brand new parent, who might be a little bit unrealistic in the way that you parent and the challenges that you have and all the things going on. And
So are you suggesting that the new parent needs to have some sort of self-awareness of what his or her projection? Yeah.
In a word,
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think the listening audience needs a lot more explanation than that, John. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's just that they have to make that decision before as a couple about what are the parenting styles. What about is your view about corporal punishment? What does the spouse feel about that and think about that? I think my sense of it is that it's better not to think about corporal punishment in terms of having that as part of a routine. It's instead use other means of discipline.
I'm dating. I've never had a kid. I'm not thinking about what parenting strategies we may or may not have in common or indifference, and it's not even on my radar screen.
It needs to be.
I'm aware of it. I know we have kids. I'll be a great dad. I'll be a great mom. No, wait a minute, right? Yeah, say that again.
They need to. They need to be aware of that. I think that's one of the things that I actually have a couple coming in for premarital counseling.
And I'm so jealous.
We talk about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's so important. How are you good? What is your parenting style?
Yes.
What, or do you even have one? Have you even thought about it? Yeah. So,
Get a little weirder.
yeah, it does.
I've actually had. This may sound silly to some of you that have parents or have been parents for a long time or dealing, but do you think particularly as those transition years are going on with these adjustments, right? You've got touching boundaries. I've had new parents ask me, like step parents, should I put my bathing suit on when we're bathing? It's like they don't know.
Right.
I'm a dude, man, and this little girl I'm bathing her, and how do I deal with that, And then normal sexual development, with towels and all this kind of stuff, you progress through baby as toddler, and nobody cares about that, and it's not a big thing. Yeah, man, Victoria, it is not on your radar screen. But when
I think if maybe I was if I had a new partner, I would then have to rethink, like,
how does this work?
Like, how does this work? What,
you begin getting at 5, 6, 7 years old. Hey, mommy, why don't you have this body part? Or why do I not have that's when the towels come out. But you know what? You have 4 years of adjustment.
Yeah.
In touch, in development, in sexual development, in discipline, all these things, right? So we'll get out of talking about these boundary adjustments because they are so sticky and complicated. But I hope that one of the things we've done with this is begin triggering your thoughts when you're looking into this, so that you can be as best prepared as possible. Because boy, it's difficult to be prepared for these major life changes, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so extended family factors. Let's do a good segment on extended family factors and how these relationships operate, with extended family. Now, how do you handle this with how is this going to work? What are we going to do? I have another Victoria Golden Rule that over the many years, it has really helped me kind of mitigate the challenges and how the norms are going to be developed and what are the rules.
Okay.
In a blended family, there really are no real hard and fast rules, best practices, or healthiest things to do. There really aren't, because there's so much variance. This can be anywhere in between me and my ex-spouse and current spouse get together with her husband, all 4 of us adults and the kids, we all get together, we have Sunday meals together as a routine, we take trips together, it's okay, it's wide open. All the way to the other side of the continuum, I don't speak, discuss, or anything outside of the legal confines of our
Unfortunately, I have many more on the latter side than the former.
Sure. But I say this, though, over the years, John, because I've had more than one. I've had several instances where they have developed trust, they have developed fluidity, they have developed the ability to co-parent together very openly, and it's honestly, guys, it's wonderful when you can get to that space.
As I say, and I look at the kids, it's good, it's great for the kids whenever the parents can get in that.
However, I don't want to speak out of both sides of my mouth when I say this. Right. It is also, though, very appropriate to limit conversations, discussions to the legal custodial agreements and norms of the legal system that were developed on paper when you have conflicts and fighting and all of that. That's ideal in your situation. So if we can get to a free-flowing kind of thing, great. If not, that's still really okay. There really are no hard and fast rules here. Yeah. Do you see that, John? I'm curious if over your many years of experience, can you bond with that?
I do. I think
you got some quizzical, skeptical puzzlement.
No, the thing is that sometimes you're, as a counselor, as a therapist, I believe in my clients, but sometimes they're mature. They're not emotionally mature, and so there's the problems that they're having in their marriage. For example, they may not learn from what caused their marriage to go kaput in the first place. And sometimes you've got to help them be able to make more mature decisions. You don't tell them what to do or anything of that sort, but you encourage them.
I have done divorce counseling before.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I have done counseling with couples that are separating.
Mm-hmm.
I've done counseling with people that are separating and reconciled. I've done counseling with people that have divorced and then reconciled. I mean, there's such a great variance here.
Yeah.
You know, and that
it's artwork. It's like doing it's like having a great canvas and palette, and
least we be locked in to. And the reason why I've really used this over the many years, this is the way it goes. No, it really
it's fluid.
It's fluid. It's what you create together in your divorcing years and in your remarrying.
And that's why I think sometimes therapy, besides it, not just for the mental health aspects of it, let's say of a serious mental illness or anything of that sort, it's that dealing with grief and trauma and to be able to grow with that. Because if let's say you have a traumatic divorce and process, you may be carrying those scars into your next relationship.
Of course, you probably are.
Yeah. And so you have to learn how to process that and grow and get challenged.
We cannot talk about extended families and new relationships in this without conflict, though. And John, I think that's where you landed, right? It's kind of like, I see, unfortunately, so much more on the other side. Victoria, you said it with even school meetings and, you know, people that have their step-parents come in and you're only working with one or the other and all these, you know, they're surprised and they're disgust, like, why was I not told of this meeting?
Right.
You know, the other biological parent said. There's a lot that goes on that creates conflict. How do we deal with this conflict state that almost, unfortunately, seems natural?
Therapy.
Says the therapist.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice if people have conflict resolution skills and they can, you know, work things out in a civil manner, I guess. But I guess how do you approach
That
it?
actually happens.
What?
I think so.
People are civil.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if you're sitting there expecting, oh, God, this is going to be so ugly, this is going to be so nasty, this is going to be the most horrible thing. Well, it is sometimes, but sometimes it's really not. We just knocked down a big thing of my office toys. We are disruptive this session. What is wrong with us?
I'm not moving my head anywhere. I'm just looking straight.
You all right over there, Victoria?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
All I wanted was some water.
Chris, I'm wondering, too, if sometimes that obviously, and this is an obvious statement, that a lot of times when people are so enmeshed into the turmoil and the struggle and the anger that's in a relationships and broken relationships, that they'll hold on, and so they'll try to control this new relationship, this new family that's being made. Let's say
Control's a key word.
Yeah, it's manipulation and control. And so
Out of fear.
And it is fear-based.
Yeah.
And so who gets hurt in that?
Ultimately, Victoria, you want to make a guess?
The kids.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not about
Who
about
gets
the
hurt
kids.
the most?
Who gets hurt the most? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the kids that get hurt the most.
Yeah.
And the individuals, rightfully perhaps, are the adults are hurt. Yeah. But who are they thinking of? Ultimately, are they thinking about the kids?
Yeah, they're embroiled in their own conflict state and structured, non-structured feelings and all that. Yeah, John, it's an adequate point. You know, as I was listening to you, my mind literally just went on to a little bit of a journey of when I was a kid, and some of the most vivid memories I have are some of the most destructive moments that my divorcing parents had. I mean, I could pull them up and I was actually pulling two of them up, like, oh my God, like get out of my head, because those are searing moments that kids remember.
I mean, I was literally just talking with a patient earlier today about how parents are such leaders and kids see that example, and how kids notice a lot more than parents sometimes remember or pick up that they notice. And so, when all that conflict is going on, and especially when you're doing it where the kids are exposed to it, then
can be trouble. Listen, I want to make a hard statement here that might fly in the face of some people that are listening or finding yourself in this situation or had been in this situation. You need to recognize and realize that your divorcing spouse or partner is, all caps, right? I gotta say, still the kid's parent. And that needs to be honored and respected, period. Because that's what the kid needs, if it's possible. Now,
and as long as the kid is not being
I know that
hurt.
there's safety issues
Right.
of abuse and neglect and things like that. Don't be afraid of the Department of Social Services, or some states they call it CPS. In other countries around the world, I'm sure you have agencies that protect children from abuse and neglect kind of realities. So that's okay. Be careful of not misusing those services, by the way. I've heard that kind of craziness go on too. Agencies being called completely unnecessarily. Don't do that. But you do
out of
need
spite,
to recognize that
out of anger, out of hurt.
And what... So I know I'm speaking a little strong language, but it's for a reason, because we see the kids, John, to your point. We see the kids and the pain that they carry when this nonsense, and I do mean nonsense, is going on. I should calm down, right?
Take a deep breath. Chris. Take a deep breath.
Let's see if something else can spill.
Yeah. Another
Neil, it's your turn.
You got something, Neil? Okay, so that's y'all. I'm speaking to the choir, I know, but listening to this is really important. So, but let's follow that up with really understanding, with these factors of the other parent, respect and compassion. I would also probably add grace and forgiveness to yourself and offering to the other person. Let's have some grace and some forgiveness, some respect and some compassion during what may be one of the most difficult times in your life when you're going through.
Well, I mean, the whole treat others how you want to be treated. If you want to be treated with respect and compassion from your partner, from the other parent, like, it's a two-way street here.
Golden rule.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah.
Difficult sometimes in real times to extend. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip that part. Let's get to some of the cool stuff, man. So these are really tricky, sticky stuff. But again, the step parent being in such a tough role needs to be celebrated. I think I'm going to retell, John, my story for your benefit so you know where I'm coming from. I shared last week how it was really funny. My dad had a moment with me when I was a young teen. I might have been even my freshman year of college, but I don't think I was that old. I was definitely an older teen when my dad got remarried and had a stepmom, and I just did not think I was young and dumb and unaware of what the deal was with as a kid, and I didn't really have a developed relationship with my stepmom. Like I said, that I was finishing out my living at home years, with my mom, and my mom and dad divorced, getting ready to go to college. So he looked at me. I felt so stupid, John. But he looked at me one day, and he didn't say much, but he really helped me. But all he said was, Chris, they do have in the store, these things that are step-parent cards. You should see John's face on the live, right?
Yeah.
It was a lightning moment for me. I didn't know. I didn't think of it, So kids out there realize, that there are step-parent Mother's Day cards, step-parent birthday cards, all this kind of stuff like that you buy in honor for your step-parent. For particularly younger kids, they don't realize that. They're not dialed into that.
You're not my dad. You're not my mom.
Right.
Well, because a lot of kids take things literally, like...
Particularly teenagers, right?
Yeah, and so when you think of like Mother's Day, well, my stepmom,
my mom.
my stepmom is not actually my mom, so therefore,
they're concrete thinkers.
Yeah, they're concrete, literal thinkers, and so like I'm gonna buy a card for my dad on Father's Day and a card for my mom on Mother's Day. There's no step-parent day. Yeah. So if there was a step-parent day, then I'd buy a card for my step-parent.
Is there a step-parent day?
How is that not the case?
I don't know.
It's an interesting notion.
There's Grandparents' Day.
Never thought of that.
Should be a step-parents' day.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But, it occurs to me the other side of it, Victoria, as you're saying that there, from the step-parents' perspective, you're right. It's you got to be really careful if you're a step-parent to take that personally, right? Like,
I mean, it's like
these kids are concrete thinkers, black and white. They've not really got abstract thinking, really intact and ready and used to being used. Even when you're 21, 22, it's like they're just not dialed in sometimes to that reality. Like the step-parents gotten married probably before for the second marriage now, and you have mother-in-laws that you buy cards for. But the kid hadn't learned that yet.
Yeah.
And you might be very offended, but relax, they're learning.
Right. Well, I mean,
Help
it's just
them
like
learn.
a little kid may not wish their grandmother Happy Mother's Day or get a card for their grandmother on Mother's Day because in their brain, well, that's their grandmother, not their actual mom. And,
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't even know there were cards.
Yeah.
You buy cards? That's exaggeration, guys. I was sensitive, John.
No, I bet you were. I bet you were sensitive.
I was tentative more times than not, I'd like to think. I'm sure my family's revolting and getting ready to email me now in a minute or text me. The divorce advantage, I mean, you nailed it, I think. If we look at some of the advantages, John, you said it off the get-go, I think at the top of the show. What did you say?
More grandparents.
Woo!
You get more grandparents, more parents, more things going on. And it's funny, you should see our lives. Like we all have smiles on our face, right? It's a unique and special big fat bonus for the kid.
Even with some of the clients that have, let's say, troubling issues in their blended families, they speak very positively of the grandparents and the step-grandparents. And there's that sense that there's an ability to no judgment zone with grandparents. I think kids will feel more appreciated.
You know how challenging it is to become a parent, right? Victoria, you're very new into it. It's so many things to learn, so many things to think about, so many things that you're experimenting with. And it's kind of like, wow. And then when you have this person come into this situation with new and fresh eyes to the scenario, if you can listen to that and tack into that, man, you have more heads better than one to help figure things out, man. Like, because there's so much to figure out. That's a huge
I think of
bonus.
Like, there's more babysitters.
It's more babysitters.
Like, if one set of grandparents is out of town, or one set of grandparents is sick, or we're down to that's where my mind goes, and that just might be because of the current state of a parenthood. But
I was gonna say that seems like a little raw for you, Victoria.
Yeah. Not that I don't have plenty of people to help take care and watch my child.
yeah. But extra,
extra is always wanted.
It's real.
My kids, Joy and our kids, we had both sets of grandparents, and we could go off and spend some time. We knew that the kids would have a stimulation, that they would have a good environment, and it would be good.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a taste. Let's get back to that when we get back to our show. Let's take a quick break for our show sponsor that we've been highlighting recently. So BetterHelp.com, we are a therapy show. BetterHelp is an awesome service that when we talk about these things, today it might be step parenting, we got your brains moving around, you're probably like, holy crap, I need a therapist. Where can they go, Victoria?
They can go to BetterHelp. Or they can go to specifically can go to our website and click on the counseling.
Neil, you want to give us the technical aspects of that? Where can they go, Victoria?
They can go to our website, Through a Therapist's Eyes, and click on the counseling tab. I think it's on the homepage.
They get 10% bonus.
Yeah, you fill out. Goodness. Yeah, you fill out a survey.
Neil, what's the experts say?
What's the expert say? Therapy in your home without leaving your couch?
Yeah, you're the expert of how to access this.
Yeah, go to throughtherapist's.com. Up in the navigation bar, there's counseling. And you click on the start survey, and they'll take you through a in-depth questionnaire to match you with your therapist. And yeah, as they've stated, you do get a 10% discount, I believe, once you sign up. So,
how valuable is this, Mr. Pope?
It is absolutely valuable. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I mean,
it's wonderful. I think every therapist is well trained. They have over 1,000 hours in terms of so they're screened. The therapists are duly licensed. And
I feel like you're our resident expert on the specifics of how you become a therapist and the aspects of what they go through to do, because that's awesome. New information.
Yeah. So I mean, they're thoroughly vetted. And if you don't like a therapist, let's say it's not a good match, then you are free to get another therapist.
A different one.
A different one.
Listen, we're a therapy show. There's so many things going out there that people are struggling with, hurting with, dealing with, trying to figure out together. So use the tabs, reach out. It is possibly life-changing for you. We as therapists know the relationship that you get in therapy, so obviously we're advocates for that.
Every therapist has at least a master's degree.
Yeah, there's that I would imagine that. So, yeah.
And a lot of them have degrees beyond that,
yeah.
And certifications in different types of counseling.
So check it out. Therapist Helper, or True. Oh my God, I just blew it up.
That's Hamburger Helper.
Hamburger Helper. My brain's hamburger today. Check it out and get yourself some help. Let's get back to the show.
Thank you.
So, okay, finances are shared, or are they? We touched about that a little bit, but one of the advantages of bringing in, a step parent and beginning to stabilize your life post-divorce. Yeah. Victoria's got the nonverbal set up there for the Facebook Live people.
Cash money.
Man, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, because if you are a parent, right, you're the parent who's remarrying. Well, the other parent is hopefully still providing some sort of income for the child, right? Whether that be through child support, whether that be through whatever, right? Well, then now my new spouse now is adding, like, that's just, and it may not be a ton extra, but I mean, when you have kids and, things can be tight and.
Well, I mean, if you're like a single, a single parent, basically.
Can we call that one of the most toughest jobs in the world?
Absolutely, the
yes,
toughest
for sure.
job in the world. And part of that is certainly a major part of that is the finances. Mm-hmm. The idea is that if you've got a couple together, it's going to be less expensive overall financially. Even if there's child support being paid, there's a sense that there is sort of a multiplication of the amount of financial resources.
Look, people don't like talking about money because there's so much emotions that go
such a taboo topic
into
sometimes.
That. Yeah, but that's real, and that's a huge part of this. Now, obviously, neither any of us are going to suggest, hey, go get hitched up so that you can get some bucks in your pocket and take care of your kid. And,
no, don't do that.
That's goofy. But this is absolutely a real component that, a step parent can bring. I mean, it really, if they're not working, they can help with the child care and be even just available, like you were saying, the taxi service.
You would have to.
And I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a step parent who doesn't want to financially involve themselves with the kids.
Yeah, of course, right.
And so I think there should be no issues with sharing your finances. I mean, if you want to do your own thing, like have your own little petty accounts that you use to like for your own stuff. But I mean, I think just like with any marriage, I mean, you're going to share the bills, you're going to share other expenses around the house if something gets broken. Like, It's not like, oh, you got to pay for that or I pay for it.
It's interesting that you bring it up that way, Victoria. I think you'll see sometimes with people. I see your head go.
As I say, I may not have enough experience to know.
It really does look like, look, this is my money. This is your money. We've been down this rodeo before. I literally just very recently in my life went through the most horrific reality financially with the divorce and whatnot. So that's all fine and dandy. I have no problem with that. Have your own money and your own checking account and your own resources. But the reality of it is the step-parent wants to develop an interesting and fun relationship with his kids, so they take them out for pizza. They take them out for bowling or fun activities. They do spend their resources. Their resources are a part of them, and that makes the family function better. Does that make sense, John?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does.
What was your head?
Well, the reason why I was twitching a little bit is that sometimes that the couple will, if they have I think that would be a warning flag if you haven't discussed this before you've gotten married.
It probably has.
Is that if that person says, well, this is mine and this will be yours, when in fact you're in this blended family.
Red flag.
It's shared. The interesting thing is that there were some couples that I've counseled, and let's say where the woman made more than the man, it was our money. But when the man started making more money than the woman, he started saying it was my money.
Oh, right. Yeah. Goodness. Right.
And so even that, you don't know that going into the marriage necessarily. Yeah. And so that could be the downside. But the idea is we're all going to be primed for growth, aren't we?
Primed for growth.
Yeah. We're all going to want to share.
Listen, around the world, I think a lot of people know what the Super Bowl is. Do you know what makes the Super Bowl so amazing? I've thought about this from an emotional standpoint. No, John. Stop it.
Mahomes.
No, John, stop it. There's no single player. There's no single game. There's no particular year. What makes the Super Bowl, in my opinion, from my view, through a therapist's eyes, if you will, is the shared experience. Right?
Definitely.
It is a extravaganza where we're all dialed into a similar or same thing at the same time around the world.
When I was lived overseas for a few years.
Yeah.
I was in Scotland. I stayed up till like 4 a.m. to watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
And I was on British TV.
I believe it.
Yeah. When I was in the Philippines, we watched the Super Bowl. We all did.
See?
Really? Yeah. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's a thing. And my point to that is, to bring it back to step-parenting, isn't there an increase exponentially of the amount of people celebrating a particular event that exudes happiness? Like it can explode in happiness. I'm saying people involved in step-parenting add to the numbers that are celebrating an A on the report card. It makes it more energized, more positive, more happy.
Your kid, more money.
More money. Right?
I mean, but not only are you getting a high five from your mom and dad, but you're also getting a high five from your stepmom and dad, and from your
maybe her parents,
your step siblings, and
siblings.
There's
a group here. There's a community. Wow. And that really can be, but I don't think that people think that way when they're thinking step-parents and siblings and all. It's kind of like a horror show that you imagine. No, this is there's a lot of happiness involved here for birthdays and graduations, high school graduations with these people involved. You have more people that care.
Yeah.
Right? Which leads to the next kind of thought in my mind is that you just do have more caring adults involved in your life. How valuable is that? Okay. Let's think for a second from a different angle that I want to quote our dear friend Kasie. She was on the show before here recently in the panel. She said, not quote unquote, but Kasie talked about, John, when we were talking about mass shootings. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Victoria, you'll remember. In hindsight, when you look at folks that have done mass shootings, how powerful is this? That they have been able to kind of highly correlate the fact that they have not had one caring adult in their life.
Yeah. I mean, it
And
makes sense.
There's empirical studies that
There are.
well studied on that.
Go a little further with that.
Well, the thing is that they don't develop bonds of attachment, and
Right.
so they are I guess the kids would feel expendable.
Yeah.
And so they don't feel loved. They don't have somebody that could even hold them accountable.
Not one caring adult.
Not one caring adult.
It is powerful. And so I want to turn this around, right? I'm not trying to depress us. I'm saying that's how powerful this can be in a kid's life. And guess what, you sir, or guess what, you ma'am, becoming a step parent, you can be that caring adult.
And you don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to be. You just
not.
be yourself.
Yes,
and
exactly.
if you get you raise your voice, you lose your temper. That's part of being a human being.
It's gonna
That's
happen.
normal. It's going to happen. But the idea is that one is committed thoroughly to the betterment of that person that's younger than you, that you love that child's mother or father so much that you want to belong and be a part of that family and be a step parent.
I don't know that step parents realize the value and the importance potentially in this kid's life that represents.
Yeah.
Yeah, the impact that they can have on.
It's huge. And honestly, you're coming at it kind of fresh.
Yeah.
You haven't had the years with this child of, worn out, and, parenting it's a journey, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's a marathon. It's a long road, and you're coming into this with the ability, if you harness it, to grow a relationship in such a powerfully caring way with this individual's life. It just blows my mind away when I think about the potential there.
Yeah.
And I want people to be excited about that and know that that's actually the benefit potential that they have in another person's life. It's an awesome thing to begin to realize the role that you could potentially have.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's certainly part of the celebration that we want to get in there. So here's another interesting similar component. Think about this. Do kids have a high level of honesty with their mom, with their dad? John, how much shit did you get away with when you were a kid from your parents?
I was a perfect little boy.
Oh, come on.
I just sat there, go to the garden club, and I was right in between
club.
the roses and
followed all the rules.
Why do I find that hard to believe?
Yeah, well,
Victoria, did you tell your daddy everything that was going on?
I would play mommy and daddy
Heck
against each
no.
other.
Right?
Heck no.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, in the hindsight, I do have a pretty close relationship especially with my mom. But I mean, there's things that she doesn't know about me.
Right? I was
and
afraid
there's
to
things
be
that she will not ever know about me.
right? I was afraid to be a rule breaker. I was
Me
a rule
too. But that
follower,
doesn't mean that
right?
things don't happen.
But then comes this other person, this step parent, right? They are not your parent. They are not your biological parent. And they have great potential of carrying this new and different sort of trust. Because you're an adult and you've been around, you care about my mom or you care about my dad a lot. You married them or you're together, you're living here. So,
in other words, the person could try, the kiddo could try a little bit more, let's say a little different behavior.
You might be a little safer.
A little safer, yeah.
Little, because you're different. My dad's the one that has to punish me and get on to me. You're my stepmom, so maybe I can go a little further and share the things that I might not feel comfortable out of fear of punishment or whatever. That is very possible. I want step parents out there to realize that. And I'm not saying triangulate and manipulate and go out all this kind of weird stuff. I don't know if you know those terms. I'm going to leave them alone because what I want to focus on is the ability of having a relationship with your stepchildren that you can really be a trusted resource to actually go to even more than you might feel comfortable as a parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I think that's a bonus people don't think about a lot. More role models. It kind of goes with the same theme. More better heads than another one. All these kind of things. Like, there's a lot of things that you think just being more adults out there. Listen, I look at things in my stepdad that I just he's a different person, and there's some things that I really value in that. And he wasn't even in my life till I was a full-blown adult, pretty much, for sure.
Right.
But now I still look around today and value that and observe that, and there's a lot of cool things that I could see closely as in a role of a step parent to me, right?
Yeah. Well, I have both my parents. Both my parents are still alive, and I'm very thankful to the Lord for that. But I'm the way it sounds, I'm kind of jealous. I want a step parent.
I love that. I love that. That's cool. Yeah. That's just what came up for you?
Yeah, that's what just came up because the way you presented it. But there's other people in your lives that can fulfill part of that role.
Oh, sure.
But
my bandage.
But as far as the step parent is concerned, I've never considered that, and you've just kind of blown my mind.
Now, what's interesting is that's even coming from a person, me, with my personal experience, that I never lived with either of my step parents. I've never lived with them, but still, those benefits in life are rich.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree.
So, last thing I'll highlight here is interesting in a different angle. If you think about it, there's an interesting and cool growing opportunity that a kid has when a step parent comes around. They have, like, let's say a kid has been, their dad's been a single dad for 5 years now, primary parent. That's who I live with. It's me and my dad, me and my dad, me and my dad. And who are you? This little.
Say, I'm stepmom.
Oh, wait a minute. Why is my dad not here on Monday nights for football? Like he's on a date with. There's a switch that begins to happen here that begins to help the kid develop a sense of independence, a sense of non-dependence on that single parent and whatnot, and internal resiliency, right? Mm-hmm. So boundaries get exercised, and you start learning, oh, okay, well, we have other priorities. My parents not here just for me. So that's a little behind the door kind of benefit and value for the kids. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It's these
cool
adjustments.
Aspect. Yeah.
It's these adjustments. So that was where my brainstorm listed, and we had an article there that also listed out some of those things that I think will help you to really kind of glean from. They also did. I hate ending with pitfalls, but I don't want to forget those as well that the article listed out to be aware of so that you can head off. Conflict is sure to be present. We talked about that a little bit. You're not my mom, dad arguments. Gosh, particularly with the teenagers. Oh gosh, can you imagine sibling rivalries when you have stepkids and all?
Well, and
so
like
it's not the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. Well, like I talked about last episode.
You mentioned that too.
Yeah, that what happens when you get step siblings that are like actually the same age or like only a few months apart, and then now they're in the same grade, they're at the same school, like.
It's a lot of
one's popular, one isn't.
Yeah,
necessarily.
maybe. So, like, okay, if it's
different personalities.
Yeah, like if it's the step sibling that's new to the school because that they moved in, and so the other sibling is already established at the school, and like, I can just my mind just goes crazy with all sorts of conflict that could happen.
Yeah, it swirls. And so, but those are things that you work through, and in challenging these sometimes emotionally bitter, interesting opportunities for growth, otherwise known as conflict and all, and you really grow stronger with that, and learn how to make friends and learn how to be friendly and kind of deal with these new relationships. But here's a big pitfall I want to highlight that we should have really done before.
Are you going to cover the next one?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I was about to say we don't need to miss that one.
Right. Go ahead. Why?
Okay, so there is a danger that comes with this that like that the kid will feel the need to like choose a side.
Or they're essentially told.
Or they're told to choose a side. And, we definitely want to avoid that at all
they really
costs. It's unfortunate that happens and that,
But that is the parents putting the
pressure.
Their pressure on their kiddos.
Yeah.
And I think that's in a sense, they're responding out of their own hurt or anger or even vindictiveness. And they're not thinking of their kids.
I know, but the thing is like, I agree with that. And ultimately, it's only going to hurt the kid. It's only going to hurt the kid. And that, I mean, I'm just thinking as other therapists, y'all can understand this, but that kid is more likely to end up in our office in however many years because they're dealing with whatever came along with feeling the need to pick sides and being pulled one way and pulled the other way. And
it's a real gut-wrenching challenge for children that are not equipped emotionally or developmentally to meet. It's just not. And I want to recognize that I think step-parents and parents alike don't necessarily do this intentionally. I think people are probably listening to this being like, oh, yeah, I would never do that. That's not my goal. I wouldn't want to. And I recognize that. So this happens in sort of a slippery slope with the conflict that you're in with your ex.
Escalates.
And it escalates. And this needs to be forefront of your mind. You know, we try to tell kids, oh, you know, it's not your fault. And they need that message kind of as well. I would think even higher than that one, that this one is a really poignant, potent, and potential horror for the
mindfulness, and that is do some real critical thinking and some being able to step outside of yourself in terms of your emotions and your feelings, and being able to look at the situation as it really is and be equitable in terms of that, and I think if you're able to do that, you're going to be a lot more understanding. You're going to be able to walk in the other person's shoes and be less judgmental. And so you're not going to be playing the kids against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. You also, just to add to that, you avoid some parent shame. You know, parent guilt is a big, huge part of parenting. And step parenting kind of brings that in. I think step parents probably get hit with parent guilt and shame even more than parents because it's such a tricky role. But yeah, this is a big one. You know, I know there's court cases.
We got to avoid it, yeah.
I know there's things that happen in custody and visitation and all of those things. And we can do that. We could traverse that together. But as much as you can, and, you know, you've got to work and be mindful to take the pressure off that kid. I've just seen
Well, and just
shows.
remember that you're setting the example. So even if the other parent is being relentless and doing all these other things, you got to remind yourself you can't control what they do, but you can control what you do. And you can at least try your best to set a good example for your kids.
Go ahead, finish.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know, just maybe approach it with that mindfulness of a mindset, and just.
I'm super glad, John. Let me jump in if I can, because you just triggered another one of my long-standing sort of standards that I've kind of put out for people in understanding this, because that's a large battle that happens when you feel like the ex-parent is working against you. Well, sometimes they are. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes that is a bit of the case. But here's the encouragement, and I found this play out many times over. Victoria, I'm so glad you were saying that we can catch this in here at the end. We'll maybe make a note, Neil. This is one to kind of catch, to make a post out of, because I want this to be highlighted. There's lots of questions about how do I handle when a step-parent or a parent is working against me, because the other biological parent can feel like the step-parent is working against you, or the parent can feel like the other parent is working against you. Here's the reality, and I think it's solid and holds true, that kid sees what's going on, okay? They will incorporate, particularly as they get older. It may even take years, but they are drawn towards what you just said, Victoria, the healthy aspects of when a parent is acting. Now, it might even be that the parent who has primary custody and you only get weekends and it's estranged with your kids, stay healthy, stay balanced, stay grounded, because that kid is going to be drawn. They will literally be emotionally drawn towards the person who is demonstrating healthy boundaries. I think that is solidly true. Any disagreements or questions?
No, absolutely true.
Even though you feel so helpless, even though you feel the estrangement and you don't see your child, it's horrible. But know this to be true. The kid is drawn towards healthy characteristics, right? So, we're taxiing in. Closing thoughts, comments?
I think that it would behoove anybody that is thinking of marrying or having a long-term partnership with in a step parenting role is that they go and get premarital counseling.
Oh, yeah.
And do that. I think that's so that they can know some of the pitfalls and also know their strengths.
You know what we should do, John? We should get our own advertisement and every quarter of this show begin to highlight the importance and value of premarital counseling. You know what I mean? I mean that's something that's huge. Yeah, if you're getting into this, do this. Listen, step parents value
Yes,
yourself.
that's what my thing was.
Kids value your step parents. Spouses and partners to step parents. This is needing to be a little bit of a celebration and a reinvigoration for understanding the trickiness, the power, but all of the benefits and awesomeness that step parents can be. Thank you out there for caring about the kids that you have met and you've become a step parent to. Okay? We'll continue to figure this thing out together. You guys stay well, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.